Hello, dear artist friends. I am so happy to be with you today to start on a project that I've been putting off for a long time. And I'm not really sure why I've been putting it off, except for partly maybe my issue with how magazines are becoming so disappointing these days, especially compared to what they used to be, I think, back in the, I don't know, maybe the 90s, when Martha Stewart magazine was so popular. Magazines were just treasure troves of images for collage, but not so much now as I find. I mean, at least if we're talking about the magazines that you can find pretty regularly on the newsstands and so on, it seems like they're all about home decorating and food, neither of which am I interested in as art subjects, which doesn't mean they'd be great for people who are, but I just am not. So anyway, the subject of this video is creating a mixed media piece using collage, and for the collage, using just one magazine, using images that are collected from one magazine. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that I think a lot of us don't have huge stashes of images that we've collected over the years. I do, which is both good and bad, and we'll get into that another time. When you're taking your images from a single magazine, you have a really good chance of getting a collection of images that are integrated in some way. For example, a magazine will have a certain subject matter. In this case, Victorian magazine is, I guess you'd say, really gorgeous, kind of old-fashioned or traditional interiors. So that they'll be tied together by subjects. You know, like obviously if you've got a dog magazine, you're going to get a lot of dog images. And also, they come out at a certain season of the year, and so there will be kind of a color scheme that you'll see throughout the issue. So those are the two reasons that I think a single issue of a magazine on a subject that you are interested in is a really good place to begin, or to start if you haven't started your collage adventure, or to continue it if you're already on the road. And then I just finished my 7th art journal. I just built this one, number 8, so I'm going to use this project as a groundbreaker for this new journal. Okay, so the magazine I have here is Victoria magazine. I've subscribed to for many years and only recently allowed myself to cut up. So I've gone through it already and earmarked some pages that I thought were interesting, but I want to flip through it real quick with you. So lots of things. We can see already that we have a certain color scheme going here. Maybe not in the ad so much, but we will in the features. So also we have an opportunity to find some text. Cherished might be a good word that we'd want to use somewhere in a journal. So in a mixed media piece, or teachers. But we've got, okay, so this one I earmarked because I love the misty look of it. And this is something that if I don't use it directly in the piece, I may have it sitting nearby as inspiration. The Seasons of Mist, that's kind of a nice bit of words also. This is a nice butterfly. So we start flipping through. Okay, so here, this is the image that really caught my eye. And it's hard to see because the woman in this raincoat is against a background that's almost as dark as she is. But there's the raincoat hanging in their hallway. But I really like this image, and I think I'm going to use this. I'm going to cut it out so I can see it. Or alternatively, I could glue it on and paint around her, which might be easier. So there's a wonderful image to start with as my focal. Some beautiful, well, almost always in Victoria magazine have beautiful pictures of flowers, whether they're painted or real. This one I earmarked because I like this dark mottled background, and I could use pieces of this in my collage, or I could use it as an inspiration for painting a background very loosely, or both. And we have some nice words here too. I like these pieces of fruit. I don't know what they are. I was going to say apples, but they might be persimmons, but those are nice. Now, one thing, okay, so I love this old building. We'll just have to see whether it will fit or not. And this is interesting. Here's another old building, smaller. Smaller in size, so possibly more useful in my piece than this one. Although, you know, you can change the size of things. You don't have to use the actual images from the magazines. You can photocopy them and reduce or enlarge them. Or even take all the color out. I love this little building, this rustic little gazebo. That might fit in or might be an inspiration for something to paint. Beautiful autumn trees. The problem with it is, of course, this is a, let's see, September, October issue. The problem is I don't particularly like autumn colors, but it is a beautiful example of trees, and I might be able to use it somehow. So on we go. Lots of pumpkins. I thought these were nice. They're all nice. You know, everything in here is nice. There's some orange roses if I were going to use an orange based or a color scheme with orange in it. That would be something nice. And here, isn't this beautiful? More mist. Our swan. Another old building, a very dark background. So we'll see. So my initial look through the magazine is just to find things that start sparking ideas. There's another one of those beautiful little garden buildings. Nice real roses and rose on wallpaper, maybe. What else do we have? Let's see. Poetic, nice word. And I love this old writing. More old buildings. More old, there's a graveyard. That's kind of cool. So on we go. Now, some of this would be beautiful just in a background. Maybe not in this piece, but somewhere else. Just any of these things. Oh, there's some beautiful orange leaves. So if we were doing orange, maybe I will end up doing orange. We got lots of material here. Orange and this color would be pretty. In fact, I think I'll mark that just to remember in case I am forced into an orange, a color scheme with orange. Isn't this a cool image of a bunch of forks in a drawer and jugs on shelves? Shelves, cut shelves. A bookshelf full of books. And you know, sometimes I'll take a magazine if I want to not hang on to a bunch of magazines. I'll take one and I'll go through and I'll cut out all the images that appeal to me and file them away for later use. So there are plenty of, there's something nice to go with that bookshelf we saw a little earlier. So just going through, getting the lay of the land, text. Sometimes it's nice to use text in the background. There's a nice little flourish. And now we're getting to the end where there isn't really probably very much to see. There's a bunch of text, it's good. Okay, so now I have an idea of what's in here. And I will go through again in more detail and cut things out that I want to that I potentially want to use in this piece. And the way I will do that is like, I have a piece of cardboard here, or if you had a piece of, or a small, what do you call it, self-healing mat, you could use that. So I have something to protect the rest of the magazine while I cut, and I have my craft knife, and I'll be cutting my pieces out like that. So I will be back when I'm done with that and ready to go on to the next step. Okay, so I went through the magazine and I extracted quite a large group of clippings. And as I went along, I found that I was kind of almost getting locked into an orange theme. Because, you know, as I said, the magazine is inherently going to have a color scheme, often led by what time of year it's coming out in. And there we go, September and October, so it's going to be warm colors like that. And as I was cutting out more and more images, I was thinking, well, geez, maybe I'm stuck with orange, but we'll see. I shouldn't say stuck with orange. It sounds like orange is bad. Orange is a pretty color, but I didn't really feel like using orange. Anyway, I got cut out some whole pages. Now this is one that had the little gazebo in it, but I had several pages of just really beautiful fall landscape, which I thought were worth bringing out. I don't know, sometimes I begin a piece by just putting landscape collage or images over the whole back and then going from there. I did save some text because sometimes I like to use text. So there's that. Some dark stuff. Pretty images that I was admiring as we went through. Oh, do I have one over here? This is a bigger floral thing, almost like a piece of landscape. Let's see. Oranges. Orange. Lots of orange. Where's the rest of my orange? And then I cut out some of that maroon color that I thought went well with the orange if I decided to go with orange. In fact, there it is in this piece, the chrysanthemums and the pumpkins. And then, I don't know, a little bit of pink. I don't know. It struck me that it was in there because it seemed so out of place, but got all these. I have some words. These little items, they might be useful. And I found some pieces that were warm, sort of between orange and maroon metal. So I guess that's copper. I'm not sure what those are. Here's a pretty thing of crochet. This was something behind a bed with a cross on it. I like that. And then this text. So, oh, and here's some more orange, the roses. And I thought this was cool too. So, and the swan. Basically, I think I have a lot more than, I know I have a lot more than I'm going to use on this one piece. But I like this a little, it was from interior. It's got the deer head and a portrait of a chicken. So all those pieces, and it's all kind of confusing at this point. But I did kind of, oh, and then this was the focal piece I really liked. And I did kind of come up with a layout an initial layout that suggested that it might be interesting to kind of create columns. So here's a column, here's another column, maybe with her, those actually attach like that. And then a third column that maybe just starts with this. And I'm going to have to be careful of, I guess I'm going to have to be careful of perspective. So we're looking straight on at her, we're looking straight on at this. We're looking, I guess, straight on at this too. So this line is probably eye level. And here's my Misty Forest piece that was gonna inspire me as I went. So that's what I have so far. I did cut her out, and I don't know. Sometimes I start with paint. Other times I start with collage. I think maybe this time I'll start with collage and then see where I need to go from there. So I think that's that as far as talking about what I could or would do, can or will do. So I guess I may as well just start. I kind of don't want to glue her down yet. I'm going to wait on her because I want to put some stuff behind her, and it would be hard to do. See, and the stuff behind her is going to have to be pretty darn light or she's not going to show at all. So I will begin with this, this, and this. She's not going to, she'll probably be about here, because I don't want much of her, if any, over the fold. And the fold is something you have to be concerned about when you're doing journal pieces. So I guess I'll just start with that and see where things go from there. Generally speaking, I like to have raggedy edges, especially where they're going to be showing. So I think that's good. So obviously I have some non-raggedy edges around the very edges. That's okay, because I'm almost always putting a border of some sort around these pieces. So, okay. So we'll start with, let's see. I do like her boots, so I think I want to keep that. So I am going to use my pencil and draw where this is going to go, because this is going to go under the other part, under these. Okay, so I can start with this and this. Now, so I cleaned up my studio the other day, which was apparently a mistake, as I can't find things, but that's okay. So the way I like to glue is to put, I'm using Liquitex Matte Medium as my adhesive. And I put this one, line this one up with these marks that I made. And then This can go up here, like so. Now, if you are a person who hates wrinkles in your collage, I'm not totally sure what to tell you. I thought I had it figured out, but then turns out I didn't. I think the best thing you can do is get your, and the wrinkle problem is worse with, the bigger the piece you have, the worse the wrinkle problem. Not to mention the problem of losing the pieces that you were gonna glue on. Jeez, oh, here they are, okay. So I think this one goes, no, this one, okay. So, oh, one thing that I usually do, and I'm not doing here, which is a problem, is I usually put a piece of wax paper, hold on, I can't talk and think at the same time, it's just too hard. She'll be going there. Okay. I put this down about, it's a little low. Maybe there. Over further like so. Okay. And I'm not so worried about pieces sticking out the edge because I can cut them off later. So, let's see, I wanted it, I think that's okay. All right, take her away. Okay, so what I was trying to say but couldn't quite get the words out was that ordinarily I'd like to have a piece of wax paper under both sides of the piece I'm working on, and that helps keep glue and paint and so on off of the underside. So I picked out a couple of pale colors that I'm going to use, at least start with, for the basic background in both of these, in all three of these quadrants. And let's see what we can do with this. So I want to kind of obscure some of that. Supposed to be a blue. It doesn't really look so blue, does it? But we could make it bluer if we wish, later or now. Now the blue and the peach are going to make a gray, which I think is okay. Maybe not great, but okay. It's a place to start. And here I've got my gesso. Softening that edge. And other than having at this point the plan of the 3 sections, I don't have any other plan. So I don't know where I'm going. I'm just trying to let the piece lead me. I want to make sure here that I've got the paint coming down low enough. Yes, okay. And I think I'll bring it around. Let's see, put a couple dabs. I'm going to use a okay. Just smudgies. Let's see, a little more gesso. Actually, I could have done it right along here, right on there. Okay, I think we've got some fairly decent beginning effects here. And I think that's tempted to do more, but I think it would be a good idea to stop. Might be able to glue her on now. I don't know. Let's see. I think I better let the paint dry first before I put glue on it. Okay, so so far so good, I think. We'll just have to see how it develops. I've got plenty of beautiful images here to continue with next time. and we'll just see what develops. Fun, fun, fun. And I may, like I said earlier, I may very well get a second spread out of these images. Okay, so we'll be back next time. Decided I wanted some texture on the blank parts here and here, and I was going to glue some text on, but then I decided, no, I think what I'll do is do image transfer. Now, I never know whether image transfer is going to work out well for me or not. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's can be, I think, a little bit tricky. The way it works is that you glue your image upside down, and then you let it completely dry, and you rub away the back of the image, and what should remain is just the ink from the front of the page. And the critical part, oh look, I put the, darn it, okay, I screwed that up. You put the glue on the right side of the image, not the wrong side like I did there. So let's see if I can wipe it off, because it's really important you don't have any glue on the side that you want to wipe the paper away from. So start again. I'm going to put the adhesive on the right side. Put it down, and now I'm going to press it down, but I'm going to be really careful not to get any of that glue up on my hand and then transfer to the back of the image. So, okay, here's another one. This is just text. So the adhesive goes on the front, and then down it goes. Pat it down really well. Without getting any adhesive on this side. Next. And if possible, don't go all the way to the edge with the adhesive. That's going to help you not get any of it on the front. Okay, I've got some wrinkles in it, and that's okay. It just means that the part that's wrinkled up isn't going to transfer. And that's not a big deal. That's fine with me. I'm looking for texture, not for text you can read in a mirror, because this is going to come out mirror image. Okay, that has to dry 100%. So, in other words, overnight. And then in the morning, I can remove the back of the paper and we'll see what we have and go from there. Okay, see you then. Okay, so to continue our image transfer, these 4 pieces, I adhered them to the page and let it dry overnight, and the adhesive, didn't get any adhesive, or tried really hard not to get any adhesive on this back side. So I just start rubbing, get it wet. Let's get this one wet too. sometimes, you know, the paper, the magazine paper is coated often, and so it takes a little while for the water to soak in. So I'm just rubbing pretty gently, and it is coming off. It's starting to come off. Sometimes, like now, I can see my image, but it doesn't mean that all the paper is wiped away yet, so just keep working on it until you feel the smooth surface of the matte medium, which I'm doing. I'm feeling that in most places. So this, okay, I think that's that. Wipe that away. So I'm thinking, well, there might still be a little paper on there. Anyway, it takes a while. So be patient with it. Don't rub too hard. And take your time. Be patient. And that's that. So I'll be back when we've got all this on, and all this off, I should say, and are ready to go on to the next step. Just want to show you a little bit here, a little bit more. So on this piece, the initial paper came off, or the top layer of the paper came off pretty easily. Let's look down here. So pretty quickly, by the way, I'm just dipping my fingers in water over here on the right. So it's coming off nicely, and I'm quickly getting the image off of this wrong side, the side that I did not want to transfer, the side that's facing up. But as we'll see in a second, there's still some paper left up on top of this ink that we transferred, the text. Okay, so so now I'm seeing the images that I transferred, but if I continue to rub, like I said on this one, I'm getting more little rubbings of paper off, and that will continue until you get it all. When you get it all off, you can feel the smoothness of the matte medium, as opposed to the kind of graininess of the paper. So just keep going. Okay, now there, I was kept rubbing, and I started to rub away some of the transfer itself, like there also. Don't know if you can see that. And I don't know also, you know, how much you care. We just, about how much of this, how perfectly and how beautifully the image is transferred. For this, I didn't much care because I just wanted to get some visual texture. And I'm seeing some color. There goes some of the actual transfer itself. I'm getting, it's not purely white behind the text. I think that's because the paper wasn't pure white. So the image transfer is finished. I've cleaned it up as much as I think I can. And I like it better with the image transfer on than not, because it's more interesting visually and it's not quite so starkly light. So my person here, my young woman, is not glued down yet. I just put her on there to take a look and see where we are. So I'm happy where we've gotten so far with our images collected from one issue of one of my favorite magazines, Victoria Magazine. What I'm feeling the need for now is to get a theme going, a story that this piece is going to be telling, because that's just part of the way I work. I like to tell a story. And I'm not going to continue until I've gotten that pretty firmly in my mind. What I'm kind of thinking of is a transition from autumn, the end of the harvest, to winter, the deep sleep the world goes into for preparing for the next year. And it's sort of macabre, but the phrase memento mori comes to mind, which means keep death in mind, that that's the end of us all. So we face the winter, a time of deep sleep, and maybe we'll come back from it next spring. Maybe we won't. Like I said, it's kind of macabre, but I'm going to try and see what I can do with it in my mind as far as coming up with something that's interesting, thought-provoking, but not a downer. All right, so I will see you next time. Looking forward to it. Bye-bye.